Morning Mindset, a daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markle. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markle.
Yes, indeed, it is I, and it is time for one more edition, just one more, of Morning Mindset. And I wanted to speak today to the real world, to the tangible world. Now, yesterday I talked about Pink Floyd's The Wall. I was actually looking across my desk at an album, an actual, one of those black vinyl things with the grooves in it that you would put onto a turntable and listen to music. Now, when I was a youth, that's what we would do. When I was a teenager, you got albums and you put the album on the turntable, put the needle on the record, and then you would sit and listen to the music. And while you listened to the music, you would look at the album cover. And you're like, well, you would look at it. Why would you look at it? Because there were images and words and paragraphs and phrases and sayings and little hidden, Easter egg things. We didn't call them Easter eggs back then, but hidden images. And you held it upside down and sideways. And you went, if you listened to Beatles albums, you went and you held them up to mirrors and so forth. And the jackets and the liners and the dust covers and all of that, it was real. It was tangible. It was something that you held in your hands. There's no batteries, no Wi-Fi, When we went to concerts, music concerts, we actually stood in line outside of the record store, sometimes for hours on end, to wait until the record store opened so that we could be first in line or second or third or whatever, and actually walk inside, exchange paper money for paper tickets. They would actually print up tickets and hand them to you right there, and you owned them, and they were yours. You held them in your hand. When is the last time that you engaged in an activity with a device or any activity that didn't require a power source or a Wi-Fi connection? We're raising an entire generation of children that have lost touch with the real, tangible world. You wonder why kids can't communicate with each other? It's because they don't communicate with each other. They don't communicate with each other face to face. If you watch teenagers, they'll sit around in a group looking down at their phones. They'll send text messages to people that they can see, that are in the same room as them. Now, one of the activities that my family has been participating in for, I got them started in the year 2000. I was in 4-H. I was in the 4-H program when I was a teenager, when we lived on a small farm in Ohio, and my brother and my sister both were. And I'll admit that we went into it kind of begrudgingly, but I made friends, and I was active in the, what did they call it? It was like the teen council or the youth council or whatever. But when my kids were older, there was a 4-H shooting sports club in our county, and I immediately got them involved in it. And my oldest son was the first one to get involved, and then my daughter came of age, and then my youngest son. All of them went through the 4-H shooting sports program. And I was a counselor, and I was an instructor, trainer, and so forth, and I participated. And every year, we would hold a shooting education camp, and the kids would get to come out and decide whether or not they wanted to participate in archery activities or shotgun or rifle or living history program or what have you. They'd pick a discipline. Now, something that the 4-H shooting sports camp started, they had to institute many years ago, was a no cell phones, no mobile phones policy. No laptops, no Wi-Fi, no mobile phones. When kids came to camp, parents were told, look, if you need to get a hold of your child, if there's an emergency, this is the phone number you call. The head counselor, this is their phone number. The office number, this is their phone number. So your kids don't need to have mobile phones. Don't tell me that it's an emergency and they have to be able to, no. Mm-mm. And if your kid can't live, and this is something that's very important, the adults with 4-H tell the other adults who are bringing their kids, if your kid can't live for 6 or 7 days without a mobile phone, take them home. They don't need to be here. No mobile phones, no laptops, no Wi-Fi. And so for an entire week, modern teenagers, kids 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 18 years old, they have to live with no Wi-Fi, no battery-operated gadgets, no text messaging, no Facebooking, no tweeting or Instagramming. And what do? They take advantage of the real, tangible world. Through archery. There's no electronic digital app for archery. You actually have to learn and use your body, your hands and arms and eyes to line up the arrow and release it at the right time if you want it to go into the target. And the great thing about the shooting sports is it teaches a kid that the target doesn't care about your feelings. The target doesn't care whether or not your mommy or daddy said you're a special little snowflake. If you don't do what you've been taught, if you don't apply it physically with your hands and arms and eyes and, your body, if you don't apply it in the real world, you're not going to break the target when it comes to shotgun shooting. When it comes to archery or rifle, you're not going to hit the target. It's not going to happen because there is no Wi-Fi solution. There is no cheat code when it comes to archery and the shooting sports and so forth. You have to actually do it. You have to close the hole underneath your nose and open both your ears and pay attention. And if you do that, and the great thing is, kids will do it. If you unplug them from the Wi-Fi and their Twitter account and so forth, and you actually get them out into the real world, you might actually be amazed. And your children might actually be amazed at how much they enjoy it. They might want to do it even more. They might want to spend less time in the artificial digital world and more time in the real world. Think about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me for Morning Mindset. Make sure that you're sharing this podcast with like-minded individuals. Don't be greedy. Let other people know about it. I am your host, Paul Markle, and I'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markle, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.